Hello and welcome to the Gonzales Mitchell Show. I'm Clay Mitchell.
And I'm Patrick Gonzales.
And today, Patrick and I are going to be speaking with Heather Tinelli. Heather is the Queen Anne's County Economic and Tourism Director, and she's here today to talk to us about the new proposed Chesapeake Bay ferry system. And Patrick and I thought it'd be a great idea to have Heather on because Patrick, you had a poll a couple of weeks ago that came out. What did it say about transportation?
Well, we asked Maryland voters and found that Maryland's transportation infrastructure system is important to 95% of Marylanders, and to 61%, it is very important. So we're talking about a subject that we have the people's attention. So,
And Heather, I saw some of the uh, uh, things that you've posted online about. I think you were at Mako and presented at a presentation, and I saw the concept plan of the ferry boat routes. Tell us about how this idea came about and what your role in this is.
Happy to, and thank you for having me. So it's certainly not a new idea. We all know before my time that we did have the ferry system that traversed the bay, and it was a major economic driver. And then when the Chesapeake Bay Bridge came, and slowly but surely the old ferries were worked out of the transportation system. And there's been several people that have tried it along the way. But it's been reinvigorated largely due to this consortium of counties where we work together in economic development and tourism. It's one Maryland. When one rises, we all rise. And as we were discussing this topic, Somerset was looking at the potential of a ferry system, and so was Anne Arundel, and of course we're right in the middle. And so we put out a proffer to every county that touched the Chesapeake Bay to say, hey, are you interested in studying this? Is it feasible? Because people have tried before, or companies have tried before. And obviously they're not, we have smaller versions, the Bellevue Ferry. And so there were five counties that were able to join the consortium, although all of them were invited. And the reason why some did and some couldn't were either they weren't interested and or the funding side of things, as we each county put together about $16,000 each to put towards if we were awarded the grant as the match. And Anne Arundel was the lead on it. So it was Anne Arundel, Queen Anne's, Somerset, Calvert, and St. Mary's, and we're all partners within the ferry feasibility consortium. And when we work together on the applications, it's been a couple years. As you know, grant applications are super comprehensive in nature and take some time. And but Anne Arundel was the lead. We applied for an EDA grant, Economic Development Administration grant. They are Anne Arundel County is the applicant, supported by the other four counties, and we were awarded the grant for a feasibility study. And one thing that's important to note is many of us have traveled on the Lewis Cape May ferry,
Right.
Or larger ferry systems. We're not looking at a car ferry. We're looking at a passenger only ferry, and the focus is on the tourism element, looking to, instead of having the Chesapeake Bay as a divider, to make it a connector, to look at how to bring visitors that might come to Baltimore City also be able to go to Somerset. As we know, that's a long loop around to get there if you come by car, and to get people exposed to the Bay and its history and its culture. So it took well over a year for the ferry feasibility study to be completed. We rolled out the findings at Mako, which was middle of August. And I'll stop after this so we can continue to talk. I'm sure you have more questions. But the bottom line is the study reported out that the system is feasible if it's phased in and flexible. I would say it may not look exactly like what the ferry feasibility study suggested. It could be some pieces and parts of that, so we still have a lot of work to do, but we're really excited about the possibilities.
What's the difference between the other systems that have been tried and failed. I remember when that was going to go, I think, from Rock Hall to Baltimore.
Hmm.
Must have been the late 80s that didn't make it.
Right.
What's the difference now in 2024 versus, say, back in the 80s or 90s when this was tried?
I'm not extremely familiar with the prior efforts. However, I do know that those were privatized.
Yes.
And I do know that all of the ferry systems throughout the United States, as far as we know, I can't speak to everyone, most of them receive some sort of supplemental funding in order to make them viable. So what makes this different is it's 5 counties in the state, and there's going to be more, coming aboard that are working together on this, and also the grant funding that is currently out there related to infrastructure. Speaking to Patrick's point, that there is funding out there because this is such a hot topic, and then also looking at the sustainability piece. What can we do to get cars off the road, to get people walking outdoors? Our infrastructure is aging. Although this system is not meant to address aging infrastructure or things of that nature, it's still marrying all those pieces. The fact that there's grant funding out there, that this is a consortium of counties, and the ferry feasibility study did indicate that it would be most likely to be successful if it was a public-private partnership, meaning I don't think there's any county that wants to own and operate a ferry, but if you are to work together between private entities that do own and operate ferries and the public piece, the counties, that this could be feasible. And the economics speak for themselves. Again, they're estimates, but there is some great opportunity there.
Patrick, how does that fit into your polling? The people that you polled, that the 95% that approved of infrastructure projects. How does this factor into your polling? Is this something that maybe you think would be looked favorably upon?
Well, I'm thinking on it, guys, on a more personal level. I lived on Ken Island many years ago, and I just have the fondest memories. And what I'm thinking, as Heather's talking, is, right now, since I think 1952 is when the William Preston Lane Bridge opened, we have had, I would reckon, and Heather, you probably know this, there are many, many people on this earth that have traveled across Ken Island and the Eastern Shore many, many times, and they don't have a clue what it is because they've never gotten out of their vehicle as they head up 301 to Delaware, New Jersey, whatever. And when I'm thinking about this, I'm flashing back. I like flashing back, Clay. I'm flashing back to the late 70s and the wonderful. I'm flashing back to all those wonderful times I go down to Chrisfield in Somerset County for the Taws clam bake that I'm getting ready to go. And I look at this as an opportunity to introduce the Eastern Shore to a very wide range of people at an intimate level, much more intimate than being in their car, heading to New York. Oh, yeah, that's Ken Island. I've seen that before. You dig where I'm coming from, Clay?
I dig it, baby. I totally dig it. See, we still talk that way, Heather.
Yeah.
Now, on one of these
But
ferry boats,
seriously, I mean, I think, what so, and I know nothing about it. So I'm like everybody watching right now. I'm learning along with them. But what intrigues and strikes me is just what I said. These day trips over to Queen Anne's County, over to Somerset, which is where Chrisfield, Smith Island. You probably could work in something there. I don't know. I've had a couple pieces of Smith Island cake. It's just something. It's a really neat concept, and I guarantee you, going and visiting Baltimore City's fun. Going and visiting the Capitol and this and that. But I tell you, there are a bunch of people that really would enjoy spending a day in Chrisfield. I mean, it's just, if you like sort of a slow pace and the way life used to be back in the 1920s when I was born, it doesn't get any better than that. So I think it's got potential.
Heather, how many passengers will one of these boats carry?
Well, the study indicated that depending on the route, there were 6 potential routes developed. And a lot of them, if you look at them, which the study is available online, you can kind of see if you've been on the water at all how they make sense. Most of them start in Baltimore and Annapolis. Some go south, north, some go straight across. But for the based on potential ridership, they've suggested that we have 149 passenger vessel for routes like Annapolis to Kent Island to Kent Narrows to St. Michael's. And then 49 passenger boat would be more likely successful for maybe Annapolis to Chesapeake Beach or Solomon's Island, or from Annapolis down to Crisfield, that sort of thing. And those routes they could possibly run twice a day, where the 149 passenger potential routes would run one a day. Again, these are estimates based on information that they received from coming out and surveying the potential sites. But they also envision that you need more than one of each boat. One you need, so when one's pulled out for service, you've got another to come in, and to also be able to activate these routes. But what exactly it'll look like, I don't know. And just to come back to Patrick's point, I think on average we have 75 average vehicles daily coming across the Bay Bridge, and that's average. During the height of our season, it's well more. It could be 120,000 or more in a day that's coming over. And my job is to have those individuals that are coming across to stop and spend money and realize that they should vacation here instead of headed down to Ocean City. But when you've got vacation on your mind, if you're coming from the Western Shore over, they're just trying to get through to get to that end destination. And my job is to kind of change that thought and get them to stop. And what a wonderful opportunity if they're able to take a ferry to some of these places that maybe they weren't thinking about going because they didn't know, and now they know and can experience it in a day. And then even better if they can stay the night, because we know that when they stay the night, they need to eat and they want to buy some souvenirs, and then that's a real economic driver over time.
So you could take the ferry from, say, Baltimore over to Kent Island. They could spend the night and then catch another ferry to go back. It's not,
Yes.
you have to take that boat.
Right. Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And what they say, the people come over on the ferry boats, they go to the Kent Narrows, or they go down to Somerset County, maybe to Crisfield, Smith Island. Is there a study or a feel as to what the economic impact would be for those visitors coming in?
Yeah, they did a ridership survey. And from that survey, I can't remember how many people responded, but it was enough to make it worthwhile data. Is they estimate about $200 per passenger could potentially be spent, especially if you're looking at the cost of the ticket itself will be included in that. But if you think, a meal, and you include the meal, the tickets, maybe some amenities, renting a bike or getting on another boat to take a boat ride, and retail, of course. So that's estimated to be about $200. And then also they've estimated, when they've looked at all those things like meals and jobs created and things of that nature, they estimate a $14 million annual economic output or benefit over time, if all the routes were put into place and as they've planned it out. It could be a $14 million annual impact. And that's across all the different routes, but that's substantial.
This could also be Eastern Shore people like me getting on the ferry boat going to the Western Shore.
Right.
They're doing the same thing. So it's not just a one-way street. It's really for both sides of the ditch, so to speak,
Yeah.
to benefit from this. And what do you anticipate a ticket costing to use a ferry, say, one way?
We did also did some surveying of other other boats in the area, other boat transportation or marine transportation, mainly on the western shore, and their cost is about $20 per hour on the boat. We used estimates of about $10 an hour on the boat. So depending on where you're going, because per our ridership survey, that's what people said that they'd be willing to spend, because there's going to be some longer, possibly up to 3-hour trips. So that could be pretty substantial
Right.
as far as cost goes for
Clay,
mine.
Yes, Patrick.
Clay, when Heather said a 3-hour tour, what does that remind us of? The skipper to the millionaire and his wife. Remember that 3-hour tour? Oh my Lord, that was one tour that didn't end well. But Gilligan and the skipper, along with the professor, got everyone on Gilligan's Island safely home eventually.
Right. And we could pretend Kent Island is that island, and they can hang out for a while. And
Heather, I'd come over every day if that was Gilligan's Island.
Right.
You see what I put up with, Heather? You see what I put up with? Hey, now, if they're looking for entertainment for these boats, Patrick and I could get the band back together, and we could do a Monterey Pop Festival kind of a performance, if you know what I'm talking about. But
they say that they would love to see storytelling on there. I think Patrick would be a perfect fit, and you could bring back the band, like you said, and they need some entertainment for the ride.
Patrick, there you go.
I'd love it, man. I'm polling. I'm done. I will never conduct another poll in my life. I am going into Love Boat like entertainment. I'm going to have Isaac and Gopher. Oh, my Lord.
We'll see if we can get you the captain's hat.
Yes.
I told you I'd hook you up, my brother.
Oh, you have never let me down. You have never let me down.
Groovy gig, my brother.
Yeah, baby.
Well, Heather, this sounds like an interesting idea. Maybe time has come finally. I hope so. The economic aspect of this, I think I'd look forward to as an Eastern Shoreman, to develop some more jobs over here that we sorely need. And I'm glad for your leadership on this. If anybody has any questions, is there any person they can contact regarding this project?
Sure, they can reach out to me, and then also both the studies are on the Visit Annapolis, visitannapolis.com on their page. If you look up the Chesapeake Bay Ferry system, so you can get that information. And then also Anne Arundel County Visit Annapolis has a point of contact for press or more information as well, and that's all on that page there.
Well, that's awesome. We won't ask you to sing along with us. So Patrick and I offline will go ahead and sing. But Heather, we appreciate you being here today. We want to have you back and keep us up to date as to how this project develops.
Thank you, and I appreciate you having me on.
Being that this is the end of the show, it's time to say goodbye, Patrick.
Goodbye, Patrick.
Goodbye, Patrick.
Goodbye, Patrick, and thank you, Heather, for being with us today.
Thank you.